In this video, we're actually going to start drawing. So ortho really helps you keep those lines straight. Again, anytime you start a project from scratch, you always start with a straight line. And why don't we go ahead and we will draw a fingerboard. That's always a good one. So there's a couple of ways of selecting a line. You can use the curve command here. You could type in line, single line, okay, escape to get out of the command, or you can use this over here, this icon, which is a polyline. Click and hold, single line, okay, and I always start with 0.0, 0. Okay, the red line, as you can see here, is that's your x-axis. Your green line is your y-axis, and you notice that I'm in the top view, the plan view. So we'll start there. Let's type in 0, 0, enter. And as you can see, that is your orientation point 0. Now, because ortho's on, it's only going to allow you to move in either the X or Y direction, which is exactly what we want. While the line is on, okay, you can still pan by using your right mouse. Okay, so if you need a little bit more room, you can still pan. You can basically kind of judge with your eye and click if you want, or I can put a dimension in, and the dimension I want to put in is, if you look at here at the bottom, it says line of, end of line, and I'm going to type in 17, enter. As you can see now, I don't see my other point, so we just pan over, that's where it is, and then just click. Now we got our line. Okay, I selected by highlighting it. Okay, that's one line. That's the length of our fingerboard. Now using our wheel, we can kind of zoom in. Now in guitar industry, we always use the center line as our basic datum points or datum line. So we'll go ahead and do that. And this is the big end, the wide end of the fingerboard, and this is the small end, or the nut, where the nut is. So now we go over here, we want to make sure end is selected. Again, let's go over here and select line, hold there, and as you can see, it's now snapping right to the end. We'll click on it, and then we want to move. Let's see, the nut area is 1.745 divided by 2, so we want to move 0.873 that direction. Enter, and then click. We'll zoom out, and then we'll go over here. We'll draw a line, okay, and that one is 2.348 divided by 2 is 1.174, okay, and click. All we have to do now is connect the dots. Now, because we used a line command, we can hit the enter key, and the same command will come back up, and we hit the end point and end point. Okay, so now you can see that this here is 1/2 of the fingerboard. Now what we can do is we can join it, and here's the join command right there, and we just join these lines, okay, just like that. Enter when done. Then we'll go over here to transform, and we will select the mirror command, select the object, click on it, okay, then it's looking for the center of the mirror, okay, in case we basically have to press done. Then we use the end point here and the end point here. Now we got, as you can see, a fingerboard, or the profile of it. And while we're at it, we'll just join all that together. If we click on this, that's our fingerboard. Now, if it's, and that's one of the reasons why we use ortho, because it's in the same plane. You know, moving this around to the perspective, you could kind of see now that this is really starting to take shape. Now, this is a two-dimensional drawing. Now we want to make it three-dimensional. And one way of doing it, actually there's a couple ways of doing that, is we can come over here and again select line, hit the end point here, then I'll move this up a little bit. Then over here in your right or front view, this is the z-axis, and we want to type in, because it's 1/4 inch, 0.25, enter, click. And so we got one line there. Now we can do the same thing on all these, but why do that? what we do is we select this one, we go over here to copy, and we just copy that to an endpoint, backtrack, endpoint, endpoint, okay? Now, all we have to do is connect the lines again, hit the endpoints, click, and do it again. Click, see how that works, and back to this one. Now what we have is a three-dimensional wire frame. Okay, here's the nut area, here's the near the bridge area right here. However, fingerboards are not usually flat, and we'll go and play with this now a little bit, and this gets really interesting. And what we are doing is we are creating a framework for a surface, and I'm not going to get into the surfaces yet, but let's say that we know that the middle point of a fingerboard is always, in most cases, 1/4 of an inch. We'll take a line like this and we'll deselect end and we'll do midpoint. So now we go move this along. Oops, and apparently that's not the midpoint, because remember we did 2 halves. So we can unselect that and then hit end, because that's where it is. We'll go over here, we'll move this up, and we'll type in 0.25. Okay, and we'll do the same thing here, 0.25, and click. Alright, so now we got a line here and we got a line here. Now, of course, we could put an arc on there, you know, of 15 inches if we want. And one way of doing that is you take line again and you go downward. And if you go downward, the radius is 16, you want to go -1/6. Okay, and in this case it's down there. And then we could take the circle command right here, select it, and just that's the end point. And oh, wait a minute, I screwed up. Here, let me erase this. Remember, the arc is not from the back side of the fingerboard, from the top side of the fingerboard. So we draw a line down 16, enter, click. Then we take a circle, just 2 points, and this is the center right here. Now we got to go right here to this one. Now it wants to click on that one, so we want to make sure it's right here. All right, so that's the circle, or this is the radius right here. Now, if you want to, if you don't know for sure where these are going to intersect, all you have to do is get line and just somewhere out there. Let me do again. Get line here, click, and then select that one, and somewhere out here, click it, and do the same thing here, somewhere out there, click it. Now, we'll take the trim. There's a new command here, the trim command. We'll take that, click that. We'll select this as our cutting edge, and then we'll just trim these back. Okay. Now, while we're at it, we'll trim this piece here. We'll just use this. Oops. We'll use this as our cutting edge. You gotta make sure you hit the trim command. Okay. And then, boom, voila. Now we have what we have is an arc there, a 16-inch arc. We'll have to do the same thing on this over here. Again, draw a line, or for that matter, now let's just copy it, okay? Or just let's move it. Let's move it because we don't need it here. So this is the move command right here, like that. And we'll use this as the endpoint, and we'll use this as the endpoint. Then we'll go ahead and we'll put the circle in there again. Here's the center point, and we'll just click on that. All right. And then we'll take the lines, and we'll get that line here, somewhere up there, and we'll take this line here, and we'll move it up there. Then we'll trim, okay, and then we'll trim. Excuse me here. I hit the wrong button, and I have a tendency of doing that. So let's do trim. Make sure you select the line. All right, and get rid of that. We'll erase that. So now we can take a line at the end point, and we can just basically connect the dots right here. Cool. Okay, get rid of that, and we'll get rid of this. Now, if we select, for example, if we want to get rid of something, and you kind of, let's see if I can do it. Okay. If you kind of, if Rhino doesn't quite know which one you want, it comes up with this menu here. So do you want that curve or that line, or do you want that? I want that line. So click it, and then I erase it, which is really cool. All right, now if you look here, okay, now this is the wire frame. If you look here, the arc are pretty much the same. This is not compound, okay? But this is one way of doing it.